Well, hello everyone. My name is Tim, and today we're going to go through an install of the GeeksAtLarge 4 limit switch kit for the Elegoo Phecda 20-watt laser system. And yeah, I tried to do it on my own. Couldn't find any good instructions, so I bought the kit from a veteran, I might add, a fellow veteran. So gotta support the veterans out there, folks. Anyway, I got the kit that you can see there in the middle of the laser engraver cutter, and we're gonna go through the manual. 1 second here. There's the manual online. It's at GeeksAtLarge.com. And it goes through the Elegoo limit switch instruction manual. User manual is there. And it tells you all the parts and everything, shows you the parts, and basically gives you the mechanical assembly instructions. So we're going to follow those to a T and see if there's any issues with the manual, make some suggestions to improve it if there is. And then we will get this bad boy up and running, hopefully. So I normally have this out in the garage. I'll put a video of me taking off the enclosure probably at the end of this video or right after this. Anyway, just so you can see where it's normally set up. I have a stainless steel bed and all that kind of stuff that goes with it, as well as an enclosure to clean out the smoke while it's doing its burning job, on wood especially. And what we'll do is we'll flip this over. I don't have my tripod. Unfortunately, my son borrowed it for a friend. So I won't have that for a few days now. So I'm going to hand bomb this and might miss a few parts as I have to assemble and then go back and explain basically what I did. So next we'll jump to it flipped over. This is right side up. We'll flip it over and then we'll start the install using this manual here, showing all the instructions of where everything goes. So we'll see how that works. Hopefully it does work. All right, folks, here's my, it says Creality on the front, but it's just a Creality cover enclosure that I use to capture smoke. But inside is an Elegoo Phecda 20-watt laser that I bought, and it's working great. And but it doesn't have limit switches, so I bought the kit, and this is part 2 of that video series. Apologize for the messy garage. My son's sort of taking it over to fix up his truck or his Jeep, so I'm lacking in space right now. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, and we'll pull the machine out from inside, which you can see under there, and we'll take it indoors, and we're going to install the 4 limit switch kit that I got from California, and we'll have a go at it and see if we can get this thing working. So I got a bit of disassembling to do. For instance, I have to disconnect the air hose and anything that's connected up to the laser here. And there's the air hose pump, and it runs up over here on into the inside on this side. And then of course I've got this which I open that window and I hang out the window basically to escape allow the smoke from burning to escape when I'm doing some cutting. So let's tear this apart. We'll take it downstairs and we'll install the 4 limit switch kit and see how it works. The tools that I'm going to be using, this comes with the kit. These are little nuts to screw into the frame. If I think you might need some longer ones, metric nuts, and set of side clippers. And these are great, but there's certain places where you're going to probably need some good zip straps. So it'd be a good idea to have a few of those that I have handy here. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, there we have it upside down. Here's some of the wiring that I used on the when I tried the 2-limit switch version 1 instructions. That did not work, so that sort of made me go out and buy the 4-limit switch set with the instructions V1.4, I think it is. Anyway, well, you can see where I sort of left those pigtailed out. And we'll take those, the old ones out, and we'll be installing the new ones there. What I did was I flipped this around just to orient this in the same direction as in the drawing that you see here. As you can see, the board, the main board is up here, and then your y-axis routing is going to be up this side and down that side. So, and then the x-axis routing is going to be this way. So we'll start with the y-axis, and there of course is your main board, and there's the slots over here. One says x-axis, the other is y-axis. So in this case, the y-axis, the short run is going to be from here to there, and then the long run is going to be down to this end right here. So it's going to take this kind of a path basically to run the y-axis. And then for the installation, we will be installing, I think, the x-axis goes right here, and another one over on this side, and the y-axis will be here, over here, and then the other one will be here is my best guess, judging by that diagram. Okay, and that shows you on the board. So we're going to start with the y-axis here, it looks like, going by the color coding, and that's the slot on the board, so you can identify it, and that shows you where the screws are going to be, and how to install the limit switch frame assemblies. So I'm going to do that. First of all, I believe the long one goes here, right there, because this is the long part of the front panel of the laser, and then the short one, the short limit switch will go there. So we just pop those screws out, screw those in, and same with this limit switch over here, we'll put that one in there. So I'm going to do that without filming it, because like I say, I don't have a tripod, and then I'll work back to show you how I've installed it and whether anything I needed to do anything special. Now, of course, the drawing says otherwise. So apparently, and I can see why, because this wiring here, that is installed there. So I guess what it does is there's enough room, and I guess it just hits right there. So that should be adequate to make that work. All right, we'll do that now. All right, there we go. And on the board here, you will see an X and a Y. And as you can see, the Y connector is already in place. You can see the Y on here. And I've plugged it in, and I've put it on this side of the shaft. I think that's right, because it's going to be coming up along this edge here. And then this one will plug into this slot here, and this is the short length of wire that goes along here. And then there's a longer length, and it's only a couple of inches longer, but then it will reach around and pop into here. So to plug these in, you just have to look at the slots and make sure that they're lined up. And there it is. That's plugged in. And we'll do likewise with this one in the back of here. I can't film it because, like I say, I can't do two things at once, but you'll see it in a second when it's plugged in. There, now you see that it's going here, and then that's the splitter connector, and that's the short lead, and then this is going to run along here. And then what we'll do is use these as wire conduits so that these wires don't dangle or anything like that. So we'll use a couple here, a couple there, and we'll likewise have to do it for the x-axis. So let's do the x-axis next. All right next to the Y, you'll see there's a little X that says on the board, if we can read it there. So it's going to go into this slot right here, and there's only one way this connector can go in. And what we'll do is route it around the leg there and route it along with this. And they're basically equal length, and I still have to install now the x-axis stops on each end here. So we'll do that. The first one is this one, because this is the one I had before, and it actually gets mounted like this, I believe. If I can figure out, oh yeah, it goes into this little slot here. So there's that little lip right there, right here, goes into this little track underneath the belt here, and it goes in there. And then this part here screws into that hole right there. Sorry for the light here. It's getting towards dusk. Anyway, I want to install that, and then I'll show you a picture of it. So basically, there's two screws here. You take the one closest to this fan motor, pop that out, and then this part here fits into a track on the other side of that, underneath the belt. And then the screw, which is going to be a longer screw, is going to go through that into that, and then that's going to sense when the laser carriage comes to the full end of it, and that's your stop switch there. So I'm going to install that, and then we'll show you. I found it's easier just to install the wire at the outset. The reason being, it's going to be difficult to get the wire in there once it's fully in place. So we'll do that. I may have to bring this underneath here to bring it in, and then we'll install it. And again, we'll use this wire way here and zip strap it, and that's where I won't use these, but I'll use the zip straps to zip strap it to this, so it doesn't get bunched up or caught out when I run the laser. There it is installed. So you can see the longer screw now in place, and that's sitting in this little groove that goes down here. And so when the laser comes over, it just activates that switch, and there's your wiring, which is going to come up along this harness right here. We may have to put it on the inside or the outside, we'll have to see. Anyway. Alright, here we are at the end, the back side of the unit with the carriage all the way to the back. And here is your flame sensor. And what we're going to do is unscrew these two screws, which will loosen or remove the flame sensor. It'll actually just get loose. And then we're going to use those same screws and just put it in like that, basically, around these wires, which are going to have to move out of the way, and then the sensor will sit like that with those screws removed and replaced back in, and the flame sensor will be back into its original location. I go with a shop light just to get this area light because it's so dark, and I need to be able to see where those screws line up and to get this fitted in. As you can see, the one screw is in there, so we got to get that into that slot there by the flame sensor. So let's see how that works. Okay, there it is in place, and it is a bugger because getting this at the right angle, getting the holes to line up when you can't really see, and you have to kind of do it by braille. But here you can see how the laser comes over here, hits that, and basically that is your one stop on the one side, and then over here you can hear it engage, and that's the other stop. So now what we have to do is do some cable management here and bundle all these wires together, because obviously you don't want these wires getting into all these wires. See how they're loose? So what we'll do is we'll zip strap them to these bundled wires, making sure we don't zip strap it to the one that moves with the laser. So all of the fixed cabling will get moved here. And then this will follow the path along with this one, and I'll just zip strap these to this as it goes around and into the main board here on this side of the shaft. So we'll just make sure that that's not hanging onto the shaft, that it's being pulled around this pole post here, stand, and same with here. And then that way this shaft is free to move, because that's your what's moving the gantry over here. So now we'll do some cable management. So I'm not going to film that. I'm just going to do a bunch of zip straps, bundle these wires so that they don't hang down at all, and all along here. And we'll make a nice loop on this end just to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the sensor here, and also with the movement of the carriage as it moves up and down the assembly. So that's why this will be strapped to this wire, because this has to be flexible as this gantry moves back and forth. So there we have it. So I'll do that, and then I'll film how it looks after I've completed that. All right, there we go. We've got the all the wire raceways done, and I used those wire track things to keep the wires at bay. And as I showed you, all the zip ties along here. This needs to remain flexible because that's your air hose. You don't want to pinch that off, so you got to be very careful. You're not really cinching down on the zip straps that are bundled around on the air hose. And that mates up to another hose that goes into the air hose machine. I just bought a small length of flexible, and then I used the hard stuff for running around the shop to the actual machine. So we'll flip this over, plug it into the USB port, and see what happens. We have to do some settings. So if we go into the manual here, it's not just a mechanical connection. You have to actually, I'm using lightburn. I don't know about laser GRBL, what you would have to do, but this one is centered on lightburn users, I imagine. So there's some probably similar settings you'd have to do in laser Gerbil to make it work with that. But so you got to go into step one. There's machine settings. Then you have to do hard limits. So you're basically telling the software that you've got now limit switches that are plugged in, and going through all of this stuff to make sure it works. So we'll do that in a moment. Okay, now I've got it turned over. I'm not going to do any lasing in here. I'll just be doing the movements with the machine out here or inside. I do any kind of burning and stuff out in my garage where it's a little more airy, so I can vent properly and all that stuff. But anyway, we'll keep the machine off for now. I'm going to go in and do all of these settings to lightburn. So here's the first step, which is click edit, then machine settings. So where's my edit? Somewhere in here is machine settings. Well, it's not machine settings, it's just called settings. Duh. And next we go into machine settings, toggle hard limits. So I don't know where that is. Okay, let me figure this out. Is right. I'm trying to do too many things here, so I totally missed it. Machine settings is right here at the bottom. Click that, and I'm going to move this over to this board so I can follow this. So that the next set of instructions says go to hard limits and homing cycle. Both have to be set to true. Okay. Oh, I guess it's got to be on because it's not seeing anything. So let's kill that again until the software sees it. And I heard a ding. So it should. So edit, machine settings, communications with controller failed. That's because I'm going through a bus here. I don't think it likes that. So let's disconnect that and put this in to there. Maybe I got to kill the software altogether. Let's close it, reopen it. Lightburn. There we go. Edit, machine settings. Yeah, failed. Okay, let's get back to this. What I've done is this set of instructions here. So it says if it fails to if it homes to the top left, which it didn't actually move from the top left. It just rotated or moved the laser over to the left side. And then it said why home failed. Then it just says basically go into the output settings, which I did, and it asks you, are you sure? And I said yes. And in machine settings under output setup, toggle Y homing direction invert. So I went from on to off to the opposite of current settings. And then I hit right and then OK, which I've done. And now it says to turn it off and then turn it back off. So I've written to the board for it to home in the opposite direction. So we'll see what happens now when I power it on. Maybe I have to hit home. Now I've hit home. It says info, home fail, confirm, control. So this is where it doesn't give you instructions. It's like, what if it doesn't work? And it doesn't work. And it just kind of says, okay, that's the end of everything. So I've tried everything there, and it doesn't work. And there's no more instructions. Anyway, so obviously it's something I've got set wrong with lightburn. So I've got it on still, so maybe I can move this thing somehow. Maybe job origin. Go to origin. Yeah, so I go to origin and it just goes info hard limit. So maybe I need to go back and reverse that. Edit, machine settings. So I'm going to set that Y direction pin invert. This one, I did that wrong. Y homing direction, oh, that was correct. No, Y homing direction invert. Turning that back off. I'm going to go right. I haven't touched any of the other ones. I'm going to turn it off. Turn it back on. And then I'm going to go home. And nothing. It hit the limit switch and it said home fail. So let's see, let's go to origin. No, doesn't work. Go to frame. Let's go to middle. Oh, it's on current position. So use absolute coordinates maybe. Anyway, I'm going to have to do some trial and error here. So there's absolutely no instructions on what to do when this thing fails. And so they don't give you any of the, what are all the settings you have to set for the laser? Like, are you supposed to be on absolute coordinates, or are you supposed to be on, well, when I use it manually, I use it user origin. or I can do current position, and there should be a way of moving this thing around. I haven't figured out that yet, but so let's say home. Yeah, not working. It just stays up on the top left. And I'm saying job origin is there, so if I go to origin, it doesn't go there. So I'm going to try the other position. Okay, well, I had to do my trial and error, but I figured it out myself. So, no thanks to the instructions. These manuals need to be a little bit better. I will volunteer to make some improvements if anyone would let me who owns this manual. Because what I found is it's not just the Y homing direction, it's actually the X and Y homing direction I had to change. And there's a few settings that you have to muck out here on the actual lightburn. So if you're giving lightburn instructions, you should maybe sort of give them a flavor of where it should be set to begin with. And so now, if I go home, watch this. So here's my home thing. So I'm going to move my thing over here and I'm going to click it. And now it's moving home. So the hardware works, instructions are lacking, which is usually the case with anything. It just needs some iterative improvements to do that. And then I've got my clearance diver dolphins here as a test graphic, which shows my work area of 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters. So if I where's the move, chummy? And I'm not an expert, and I've only been playing with this software for about a week or two now, or a week really, of actual time. And so there I am, sort of not totally in the middle of the 400 by 400, which is the space allowed in the confines of the laser engraver printer here. So when I go from home, which is bottom left corner right now, I have it designated as, and I want to pop it to the frame there. I just hit frame, so I'm hovering over frame here, and I'll click frame, and now it's actually framing it. It's a little fast. I'm sure I can go in there and find some settings on how quickly this thing frames stuff, so I can, and then be able to have a little bit of a laser point out actually on the workpiece where it's being framed. I do have another project here that I've on the go, which is I've got some laser red dot lasers that I'm going to put on the thing so that I can actually calibrate it for better seeing where on the project my laser is actually going to start etching. So that's number 2. And again, I'm only a couple weeks into this thing, so it's taking some time to figure out. But thankfully, I have some 3D printing experience, so it's easy to translate through to laser engraving and cutting. So that being said, there's some of the parts. So you need lots of hex keys. I had to use 3 different size hex keys to install these limit switches. Which come with the Phecda. Everything you need comes with it, so that's good. And side cutters for trimming zip straps. I think it's better to have zip straps with the kit. So, but I mean they're cheap, so most garages have them. So I've got a ton in my garage. Anyway, so yeah, I got to say this is a win. And when you look at the, yeah, you can do this yourself. I've got all the parts and pieces now, and I have a 3D printers, and I've got the things that I could use as molds. But I'm not going to do that because, you know, it'll take more time than it is to just buy this kit for $30 US or $40 Canadian and get it shipped off to you. So, again, I have to say, support your veterans. And I'm happy with the outcome. You can see one of the limit switches there, the other limit switches down there. The other 2 are hiding underneath the the assembly, the sliding assembly there. So yeah, really a good little product. So gotta recommend it. Thank you for watching.